So I'm going to make a video in response to Gaywave's Rumble video about me. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of putting their fat, disgusting faces on my beautiful channel. But one of the things that I thought was funny is that the one fat dude, what's his face? I almost forgot his name. Lois. He stated that, I say that I'm based and right-wing, or I claim to be based and right-wing, but I'm on social programs. Number one, I'm not based. I've never said I was based, because I'm not some G-Money rapper. And I never said I was right-wing, because third positionism is not right-wing. I have stated that I am a third positionist. I have stated that I agree with justicialism. I've said that I have agreed with Mussolini's ideas. I've said a lot of things. I may have used the term right-wing or far-right or even alt-right in some of my older videos to try and reach out to people so they knew what I was talking about. But people that call third positionism right-wing don't understand what third positionism is. Okay, and if you don't understand what most of the people that call these things far right is a slur by leftists and even some conservatives against actual third positionists. And of course, some people call third positionists liberals because National Socialists, fascists, Peronists, justicialists, phalangists, etc., we all agree with the utilization of social programs and a centralized government, not limited government, centralized government. Okay, this is not like the right wing, and I'm going to show you what this is most similar to, and I had to do some growing up. Now, I have not been a racially oriented third positionist since I was 25 years old. That's 15 years ago. I have not been racially minded in my political ideology. So, long before I ever started this YouTube channel, I quit having a genuinely racial component to my political ideology. However, I did not stop being a third positionist, okay? So third positionism is a set of neo-fascist political ideologies that were first described in Western Europe following the Second World War, developed in the context of the Cold War. It developed its name through the claim it represented a third position between capitalism. So keep in mind, it's anti-capitalist and of the Western Bloc and the communism of the Eastern Bloc. So it is anti-capitalist and simultaneously anti-Marxist and anti-communist. Although I shouldn't say it's anti-communitarian, because some third positionist ideologies do take a communitarian approach. Between the 1920s and 1940s, various dissident groups presented themselves as part of a movement distinct from both capitalism and Marxism. Okay? This idea was revived by various political groups following the Second World War. The rhetoric of the third position developed among Terza Posizione in Italy and Troisième Voie in France in the 1980s. It was taken up by the National Front in the United Kingdom. These groups emphasize opposition. So remember, third positionism, which is what I've claimed that I was, is opposed to both communism and capitalism. It advocates a third position politics, centrism in many ways. Typically, they present themselves as beyond the left and right. Get it? They're beyond the left and right, while syncretizing ideas from each end of the political spectrum, usually, quote, reactionary right-wing cultural views, meaning cultural conservatism or social conservatism, and left-wing economic views, meaning socialism. So, being socially conservative and promoting the use of social programs and a centralized state is third positionist. You dig? So the term third position was coined in Europe, and the main precursors of the third position politics were Italian fascism, Prussian socialism, National Bolshevism, ultranationalism, and far-left Bolshevism and Strasserism. A radical mass action worker-based socialist form of National Socialism advocated for the left wing of the National Socialist Party by brothers Otto and Gregor Strasser until it was crushed in the Night of the Long Knives in 1934. Neo-fascist National Socialist author Francis Parker Yockey had proposed an alliance between communists and fascists called the Red and Brown Alliance, red being the color of communism and brown being the color of National Socialism. And I agree a great deal with that. I don't disagree. As long as communism does not threaten nationalism, I don't see anything wrong with the economic principles of communism. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with the economics. So Yockey lent support to third world liberation movements as well. This is from Germany, France, Italy, United Kingdom, United States. Here we go. The United States Political Research Associates argues that third position politics has been promoted by some, quote, white nationalist and, quote, neo-national socialist groups, such as the National Alliance, American Front, Traditionalist Workers' Party, Patriots Front, White Aryan Resistance, as well as some black nationalist groups, such as the Nation of Islam. Since the late 20th century, in 2010, the American Third Position Party, later renamed the American Freedom Party, was founded in part to channel the, quote, right-wing populist resentment. Now again, third positionism is not right-wing. Okay? It's neither wing, and both wings at the same time. So that's the point that I'm trying to make here. So I've never claimed to be right-wing. Right-wing is more or less a slur by imbeciles or by people on the so-called alt-right that don't know what the hell they're talking about and like to pretend that they affiliate with these ideologies when they really don't. Such as when they're a big fat person whose daddy came here as a refugee and was given everything for free, but now says that other people have no right to come here. You know, typical fat Floridian Republican. Moving forward. Now, justicialism is a form of third positionism. Okay, justicialism, also known as Peronism, is an Argentine political movement based on the ideas and legacy of Argentine ruler Juan Perón. Blah 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 blah. Okay, ideology. A true democracy. These are the 20 Peronist tenets. Now, does this sound like conservatism to you? No, it doesn't, does it? So, a true democracy is that one in which the government does what the people want and defends only one interest, the people's. Peronism is essentially of the common people. Any political elite is anti-people and thus not Peronist. A Peronist works for the movement. Whoever in the name of Peronism serves an elite or a leader is a Peronist in name only. For Peronism, there is only one class of person, those who work. Working is a right that creates the dignity of men, and it is a duty, because it's fair that everyone should produce as much as they consume at the very least. For a good Peronist, there is nothing better than another Peronist. No Peronist should feel more than what he is, nor less than what he should be. When a Peronist feels more than what he is, he begins to turn into an oligarch. Okay, so they're also against the oligarchy. Dig? When it comes to political action, the scale of values of every Peronist is Argentina first, the movement second, and thirdly the individuals. Because without the state, there is no individual. It's similar to Italian, like Mussolini's ideas. Politics are not an end. Keep this in mind, because people go, I'm trying to be based in right wing. No, politics are not an end, but a means to an end, okay? The two arms of Peronism are social justice. Remember, everybody likes to, all the alt-right people that claim to be third positionists, they claim to be fascists, national socialists, phalangists. They don't understand that third positionism is based in social justice and social help. Peronism desires national unity and not struggle. Kids should be the only privileged class. A government without doctrine is a body without a soul. Justicialism is a new philosophy of life. Blah, 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 blah. You can read this on your own. I'm not going to go on and on and on, but I'm going to move on. So the National Socialist Party of Deutschland is a party that every alt-righter thinks is ultra-based and ultra-right-wing. Okay, well, what did they stand for? Let's see. What did the National Socialist Party stand for? Now, does this sound ultra-based and ultra-right-wing? No, it's third positionism. They demand a union of all Germans to form a greater Germany. They demand equality of rights for the German people. They demand land and territory. None but members of the nation, blah, 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 citizenship, the right of voting, They demand a state be charged with, they demand that the state be charged first with providing the opportunity for a livelihood and a way of life for the citizens. If it is impossible to nourish the total population of the state, then the members of foreign nations must be excluded from the Reich. Okay, you dig? All immigration of non-Germans must be prevented. They demand that all non-Germans who have immigrated to Germany since the 2nd of August 1914 immediately leave. Not that, oh my God, as long as you're coming here and you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in the Constitution and you're ultra-based and right-wing, you're welcome. Okay? No, that's not it. All citizens of the state shall be equal as regards rights and obligations. The first obligation of every citizen must be to productively work mentally or physically. Now, this is what's funny. So, Lois Ropez claims that Lenape Valley Foundation was giving me free services, or that they're helping me for free. Number one, no, they're not. For years, I paid for services there. And then eventually, I was capable of getting better insurance, which did cover the cost of my therapy sessions, And then they quit taking that insurance, Now, the people that work at Lenape Valley Foundation, they make money. They get paid to provide services. How do I know this? I worked at basically a duplicate version of that place. When you work at a mental health clinic, you get paid money. Nobody was helping me for free. And what they gave me was not help. That's the problem. They were being paid to help me. What they were doing is working with people online to ostracize me and try and set me up. And I have witnesses to that. Abolition of unearned work and labor, meaning getting rid of credit and getting rid of playing the stocks. Consideration of monstrous sacrifice. So this is about war profiteering, getting rid of war profiteering. Conservatives love war. Look at the war hawks. They demand nationalization. Now this is the thing. I'm super based and super right-wing. This is socialism here. The National Socialist German government demanded the nationalization of all businesses which have been up to the present formed into companies. So big companies, no, they are owned by the government now and run by the government. You dig? They demand that profits from wholesale trade shall be shared. Oh, well, that sounds like socialism, doesn't it? Oh, could it be because it's called the National Socialist Party? But yet they're super based on super right-wing. They demand an expansion on large scale of old age welfare, meaning Social Security. They demand the creation of a healthy middle class and its conservation, immediate communalization of the great warehouses and their being leased at low cost to small firms, the utmost consideration of small firms in contracts with the state, county, or municipality. This is the utilization of the state to promote small business. This is corporate socialism, and above that you have actual socialism. They demand a land reform suitable to their needs, provision of a law for the free expropriation of land for the purposes of public utility, the abolition of taxes on land, and the prevention of all speculation. They demand struggle without consideration against those whose activities is injurious to the general interest, common national criminals, usurers, profiteers, punished by death. So people like Gaywave that are profiting off the misery of others, they wouldn't have been treated that greatly in Germany. They demand they demand substitution of a German common law for Roman law. The state is to be responsible for the fundamental reconstruction of the whole national education program to enable every capable and industrious German to obtain a higher education and subsequently introduction into leading positions. So they demand a socialist education system, and they demand the education of gifted children. You can read this on your own if you think I'm lying. Okay, the state is to care for the elevating national health. They demand socialist welfare. They demand an outlawing child labor. They demand the encouragement of physical fitness by the legal establishment, meaning socialism, the legal establishment of gymnastics, sport obligation, and the utmost support of all organizations. Could you imagine if Luis Lopez had to participate in sports at the behest of the government, but he's super based and super right-wing. He supports national socialism, but he doesn't know what it is, does he? He doesn't know what it is, because he'd have to do stuff like walk 5 feet, which is something he probably isn't physically capable of doing at the moment. They demand the abolition of mercenary troops and the formation of a national army. Okay, and this is, Gaywave is real big fans of freedom of speech, right? So they demand legal opposition. Okay, they want all writers, employees of newspapers to be German. They demand that non-German newspapers be required to have express permission by the state, meaning they can't publish anything without the permission of the state. And non-Germans are forbidden by law and any financial interest in German publications. Okay, so they were not freedom of speech. They demand absolute freedom of religion for all religious denominations within the state. They demand the execution of all of this, blah, 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 blah. And they want a strong central government. Moving on. So the World Union of National Socialists was created by the Cotswold Agreement. The ideologies of this are neo-national socialism, neo-fascism, anti-Semitism, anti-globalism, anti-communism, anti-Zionism, anti-immigration, anti-capitalism, anti-LGBT, white supremacy, and Islamophobia. Okay, that's not 100% true. Islamophobia probably should not be included in that. Okay, now again, they claim that the political position is far right. As I just showed, that's not accurate. Third positionism is not far right. So the founders are George Lincoln Rockwell, Colin Jordan, and Savitra Devi. None of these people are right-wingers. None of them are right-wingers. The movement came about when the leader of the American National Socialist Party, George Lincoln Rockwell, visited England and met with National Socialist Movement chief Colin Jordan, and the two agreed to work towards developing the international link-up between the two movements. This resulted in the 1962 Cotswold Declaration, which was signed by neo-national socialists from the United States, the United Kingdom, France, which is Savitri Devi, West Germany, Austria, Belgium, blah, blah, blah. Splits following Rockwell's assassination. Certain people left. Okay, these are the associated groups. Now, do these sound like far-right groups? The National Socialist Movement and its successor British Movement, National Socialist Workers' Party of Denmark, National Socialist Movement of Denmark, Nordic Reich of Sweden. In Oceania, you had the National Socialist Party of New Zealand, National Socialist Party of Australia, and Asia, you had National Socialist Japanese Workers' Party. Okay, do these sound like right-wing organizations? The Rhodesian White People's Party was also a member. So, membership. Okay, in Bulgaria, you had the Great Sarmatian Brotherhood. In Brazil, you had the Brazilian National Socialist Party. Canada, you had the National Socialist Party of Canada. Chile, you had Movimiento Nacional Socialista de los whatever, I don't speak Spanish. In Costa Rica, you had Resistencia Ideológica Nacional Socialista de Costa Rica. In Finland, you had whatever that is. In France, you had Movement National Socialiste. You'll notice that socialist is mentioned in most of these. In Greece, you had European nationalism and Hellenic nationalism. In Guatemala, you had Frente Nacional Socialista de Guatemala. In Iran, you had Nasca Party. That's why you can't... Okay, in Italy, you had... Comunità Politica, whatever. These are all members of the World Union of National Socialists. In Japan, you had the National Socialist Japanese Workers' Party. Again, Workers' Party, National Socialist Japanese Workers' Party. Does that sound super based and super right-wing? Super socialist? That doesn't sound like to me. In Norway, you had the National Socialist Movement of Norway. In Peru, you had National Socialist Taricios of Nueva, blah, 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 blah. In Rhodesia, you had the Rhodesian White People's Party. In Russia, you had the Russian National Unity Party, the RNE, blah, 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 National Socialist Organization. In Serbia, you had Racional, whatever, Serbian Action. In Spain, you had National Alliance, Novu Ordan Espana. Sweden, you have the National Socialist Movement, Nordic Scandinavia Unit, blah, blah, blah. Ukraine, you have National Alliance for Freedom of Ukrainian Phalange Bloc. United Kingdom, blah, blah, blah. British, you had the British People's Party. United States, you had the National Socialist Movement and Final Solution 88. The following organizations were members of the WUNS, the World Union of National Socialists. In Argentina, you had the Argentine National Socialist Front. In Turkey, you had the National Socialist Movement and Final Solution 2016. In Zimbabwe, you had the Rhodesian White People's Party again. So, moving forward. So these are the 7 core principles of conservatism: individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, okay? Human dignity. Now we're going to go up and I'm going to go through each one of these. Some of these could be workable with National Socialism. Individual freedom, yes, but individual freedom within the confines of a strong state. Limited government, no. National Socialism, fascism, all these third positionist ideologies want a strong, centralized government. The rule of law, that's workable under National Socialism, fascism, etc. Peace through strength, that's workable. Fiscal responsibility, that's workable in a sense, but it doesn't mean limiting government. And free markets is a big no-no. human dignity under the confines of the state, under the confines of the Volk. Okay? So some of these are workable, but most of them are not. I should say they're not workable within the confines of third positionism. So this is conservatism in the United States. American conservatives tend to support Christian values, moral absolutism, traditional family values, and American exceptionalism while opposing abortion, euthanasia, and same-sex marriage and gender and transgender rights. Okay, so let's see the overview. Now, some of that is workable into third positionism. They tend to favor economic liberalism. Again, they favor economic liberalism. That's a big no-no in third positionism and neoliberalism, and they are pro-capitalist. Again, capitalism is a big no-no. They oppose communism and labor unions. Labor unions are the basis of fascism. The history of American conservatism has been marked by tensions, blah, 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 blah. Neoconservatives want to expand, blah, 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 blah. Ideology and political philosophy. This is William F. Buckley. Among our convictions, it is the job of centralized government in peacetime to protect its citizens' life, liberty, property, yada, yada, yada. Da, da, da. Social views. Social conservatives in the United States is the defense of traditional family values rooted in Judeo-Christian ethics and the nuclear family. Now that's conducive to third positionism. As I said, third positionism is very much socially conservative. Now, economic views. Fiscal conservatism has ideological roots in neoliberalism, capitalism, limited government, free enterprise, and laissez-faire economics. All of these are against third positionism. All of them. Neoliberalism, capitalism, limited government, free enterprise, and laissez-faire economics are all against third positionism. Neoconservatism emphasizes foreign policy over domestic policy, blah, 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 war hawks, yada, yada. National conservatism focuses on upholding and national and cultural identity. National conservatives strongly identify with American nationalism, patriotism, and American exceptionalism. Okay, that's true, and American nationalism would be mandatory for there to be American third positionism, because you can't be, in my opinion, you can't be a conservative or a third positionist if you're not first a nationalist. However, this is the thing, types of conservatives. Christian conservatism, which is not in favor, this was very much against third positionism in many ways. Constitutional conservatism, a form of conservatism. Now, I do believe that constitutional conservatism is in sync with U.S. third positionism, as was George Lincoln Rockwell was highly in favor of upholding the Constitution. Fiscal conservatism, a form of conservatism that focuses on low taxes and restraining government spending, has absolutely not a damn thing to do, okay, with third positionism. Libertarian conservatism has absolutely nothing to do with third positionism. National conservatism, a modern variant of conservatism that concentrates on upholding national and cultural identity, advocated by supporters of President Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's confused a lot of people that think that they're third positionists when they don't know what third positionists are. Neoconservatism, a modern form of conservatism that supports a more assertive interventionist foreign policy aimed at promoting democracy abroad. It is tolerant of an activist government at home, but is focused mostly on international affairs. Paleoconservatism, which is the most like third positionism, okay, is in part a rebirth of old right arising in the 1980s in reaction to neoconservatism. It stresses tradition, especially Christian tradition, and the importance to society of the traditional family. That's the closest you're going to find to third positionism. Social conservatism is simply an aspect of third positionism. Traditionalist conservatism is a form of conservatism in opposition to rapid change in political and social institutions. It's about the history, blah, blah, blah. Moving on. Now, what you're going to see here is I have called myself what? A Theodore Roosevelt-style progressive. And you will see I am a Theodore Roosevelt-style progressive. I had to do some growing up and realize that, National Socialism, fascism, these things, they don't fit the American ideology. Third positionism, as it is in Europe and in South America, does not fit the United States. However, Roosevelt progressivism does. So, what is the platform of Roosevelt progressivism, okay? So, strict limits and disclosure requirements on political campaign contributions, registration of lobbyists, recording and publication of congressional committee proceedings, National Health Service to include all existing government medical agencies, social insurance, meaning Social Security, limiting the ability of judges to order injunctions to limit labor strikes, a minimum wage law for women, an 8-hour workday, Federal Securities Commission, farm relief, workers' compensation for work-related injuries, an inheritance tax, women's suffrage, direct election of senators. I don't actually agree with the direct election of senators. I think we should go back to them being appointed. I don't think that people should vote for the senators. I think that it corrupts the idea of the senators and makes them beholden more to special interests. But other than that, that's like the only thing I disagree with. Primary elections for state and federal nominations, easier amending of the United States Constitution. I agree with that. The recall election, so citizens may remove an elected official before the end of his term. The referendum, citizens may decide on a law by popular vote. The initiative, now I don't agree with the referendum in the sense that I don't think that that's putting much faith in this system of governance. Judicial recall, when a court declares a law unconstitutional, the citizens may override the ruling by popular vote. Okay, moving on.